Teddy Potter.
Hello.
Good to meet you again. I was at your panel last year.
Oh, okay.
Yeah. And now we're
I'm Carmen Schmidt. I write the Outlander Anatomy blog.
Oh, cool.
I'm Justin Cook. I'm with Flickr and Messages.
Okay.
I'm Karen. I'm with Shakin.
This is nice because actually we have not been introduced to people in our previous table.
Really?
Oh, really?
I think you both know me. I used to blog for Outlander Cast, and now I blog on my own, and I also blog for Turkish television. Yes.
An Outlander homepage.
Turkish TV is the second largest producer of television drama in the world.
Is that true?
It is absolutely true.
Wow. I had no idea.
You have to go to the Middle East or Pakistan or Turkey. It's huge in South America and in Puerto Rico.
Wow. That's
Huge, huge following. So I segued from Outlander to Turkish television and then came back around. So
And now she's out in space.
yes.
I'd like to ask a question about this new project. It's a very creative idea, and it looks like three of you paired up and kind of co-created it. Can you talk about where the idea came from?
Originally, myself and Zach Van Amberg, who's now one of the heads of Apple TV Plus. He was formerly executive at Sony Television, where I've had my deal for a very long time. Maril and I both worked for Sony. And when he went to Apple a couple years ago, he called me up and said, let's get together and talk. And during that meeting, he said there was an idea that he and I had kicked around once about doing a show about NASA in the 70s. And he said, I still think about that show. What do you think about trying to do that? What if we did like a Mad Men at NASA? And I was like, oh, that's kind of cool. Let me go off and think about that. And then when I thought about it, I realized that while you could certainly do that show, it was kind of a depressing story of NASA in the 70s, to be honest, in my opinion. Budgets kept getting cut back, the program got smaller, the big ideas of going to Mars and doing big moon colonies and all that went away. And so I said, that's kind of a depressing story to do the character drama in. What if we did the version of the space program that we were promised that we never got? Because when I was growing up in the 70s, I thought we were going to do all these amazing things, and none of that came to pass. And so the opportunity to start doing an alternate history version where the space race continued and we did step out into space in a much bigger way was kind of an exciting prospect. And that's when I brought it to Matt and Ben, and we all said, yeah, let's do this.
And what was it like? Because we both have Star Trek and Battlestar Galactica and Maril. So what was it like now doing a space show that's grounded in a historical context and less like science fiction in the future?
It's fun for me personally because I've always said, when we started talking about the show, we didn't want this to be a dystopian type of drama. We wanted to be a little more optimistic. But the other thing we really want to do is have it kind of follow our normal timeline, but then maybe certain events happen in a different way, or we get to it from a different path, because that feels more grounded. And for me as a viewer, I'd be more interested in seeing, looking at what happened in real history versus what happens in our show. Whereas in something like Star Trek or Battlestar, something like that, everything is made up and you have no touchstones of real life, which I think distinguishes it in a way that makes it really interesting and fresh.
Forward and back. Can you speak to the allure of that for you?
I just like doing shows that are not based in our reality, I guess, fundamentally. I'm not that interested in telling a story that's just set in present-day contemporary society. I'm always interested in either changing something about the society or projecting in the future, going back and doing something in the past. It's just, I guess it's an escapism for me. I love history as a rule, so I'm always interested in period pieces, and in science fiction, just as it's the future or it's some alternate reality. I just like the speculative nature of fiction.
I like the fact that you have changed a certain aspect of the space race, of adding women in terms of candidates, long before NASA in real life actually did that. How were you able to, you changed the world that way? Any thoughts? I mean, I know you both are like the strong women type of thing. I mean, do you give, what would you want to do in terms of changing, do you think NASA is like recoiling, at your thinking of like changing the women that way?
I think they should have. I mean, I think we're fascinated by the Mercury 13 program, which was, a program of female astronauts where they trained them, and actually they trained and tested a lot better than the male astronauts did, but it got shoved to the side because people didn't think women should be in space and put out that way. And I think we felt like that was certainly one of the parts of history we wanted to change. And I think it's not so much we love strong women, we just love strong characters, and they happen to be women. Let's go.
And that's okay.
So,
Are we done?
Gosh, that was